Hi guys and girls, it's the Jeep Doctor. Today we're going to show you how to do a compression check on your Jeep. This is pretty much a universal way of doing it. The specifications may vary from one vehicle to the other, but this can apply to anything from your Jeep to your wife's Honda Accord. It doesn't matter, but you will need to get the specific specifications for the vehicle you're working on. Today we're using this 97 TJ with the 2.5 4-cylinder in it. So here's some of the tools that you're definitely going to need. Is a ratchet. A longer ratchet would be nice. This is a flex head Matco. Definitely makes getting in there some of these spots a little easier. An extension, not a necessity, but definitely a nice thing to have. You're going to have a good spark plug socket. Make sure you have the one, you need an actual spark plug socket because it's going to have this rubber insert that's going to protect the porcelain on the spark plug. You crack or break the porcelain, you're going to have a misfire. So you may find a socket that'll work for the spark plugs, but I highly suggest you pick up an actual spark plug socket. Another tool is this spark plug wire puller. This is going to help you pull off the spark plug wires without tearing the wires of the boot, which can happen especially when these things get a little bit of age on them. And the other thing is a compression gauge. This is something that you can buy. I think Harbor Freight sells them. Those are probably good for once or twice if you're just checking compression on your vehicle once. Wouldn't suspect it to last too awful long. You can rent them from AutoZone or Advance. I think O'Reilly's as well. If it's something that you plan on doing often, or maybe you just would like to have it, they run usually I think between $50 and $100. This is a Matco brand one. You can get Snap-on, Matco, Cornwell. They're all going to be really good brands. Craftsman I think sells one, so probably going to be just as good. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is pick which cylinder you want to test first. Being this is the inline 4, the cylinders go 1, 2, 3, 4. If you had a 4-liter inline 6 or a 4.2, they're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from front to back. So we're just going to do this at random. So we're going to pick this one. This is the number 2 just because it's a little easy to get to. So put your spark plug wire pullers down in there, grab it by the boot, pull it loose, take your ratchet, slide it in there. Now these things shouldn't be too terribly tight. If you are having to put a lot of force on it, you may want to pull your socket back out and spray a little PB blaster down in there and let it sit for maybe 5-6 hours, couple hours, whatever, because these things can get a little rust around the spark plug, and I have seen people shear the spark plug off. And this is where that rubber boot is also going to come in handy, because the spark plug is going to come out. If you use just a regular socket, the spark plug will drop as soon as you touch it. So this is a 5/8 socket. That's going to be your average spark plug. It's going to be 5/8. You do have a 13/16 spark plug socket as well. This is the perfect time to replace your spark plugs if you need to. Taking a look at these look great. A little bit of soot, but not much. No charring, no burning. Just a little bit here and there, but overall these look pretty good. So take a smell, no gas smell, no leaky ejectors, it's not running rich. That's a great start. So this is a test that you're going to want to do if you are suspecting that you're down on power, or maybe you have a broken valve, a leaky ring, something to that effect. So alright, so most of these compression testers are going to come in 2 pieces. So you've got this piece with your thread on it. This is a pretty standard thread. The other thing you'll have is you can have an adapter for a different style. This is for maybe an import or something to that effect, but most of these, especially if you rent one, it'll probably come with multiple adapters, but most of your spark plug threads should be the same. So you're just going to thread this down in there by hand, and the thing about this is that you don't have to really tighten it too much. Just tighten it down by hand. It has an O-ring on it, so it's actually not going to go. It's going to seal without having to torque it down. Okay, the next thing you want to do is get your owner's manual. If you don't have an owner's manual, you may have to do some searching on the internet, but you want to get your owner's manual, go to the power distribution page, and look for your fuel pump. Find your fuel pump relay, which in this particular case is A. You got a diagram here. A is actually this one right here. So you're going to pull that fuel pump relay, and what that's going to do is it's going to keep you from squirting gas into the engine and keep the engine from starting, which could happen even with one spark plug missing. So pull that spark plug relay, then take your second half of your compression gauge, and you've got a little coupler here. You're going to couple that right on there. Make sure it locks down. We've got our slide collar all the way locked down. So always make sure it's out of gear, parking brake set before you try to start it. So start it. And all you have to do is give it a good crank for just a few seconds, probably 4 or 5 rotations is all you need. Okay, key off. And what we're looking at is about 145 psi of pressure. We're looking at the outside here. So the inside is bars of pressure, but it, well, you know, in America we use everything else we can, so outside is psi of pressure, pounds per square inch of pressure. So this is a very good reading on this engine. To have 145 pounds of pressure is really good, especially with something around 130,000 miles on it. So what you're looking for is, generally on most of your Chrysler engines, 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder, you're looking for anything north of 120 is very good. Between 100 and 120, you're maybe getting a little worn out, but you still should be good. Anything below 100, you're looking at trouble. I actually had one that had absolutely, I think, 60 or 70 psi's. The rings are very leaky. The problem that we find on a lot of these 2.5 engines is the valves will crack. In that case, you just want to test every cylinder one by one, and you'll end up with either some pressure or no pressure. When the valves are cracked, you end up with no pressure. So, and I have seen them run with the valves are cracked, but they do not run very good. So what you want to do now is on the side here, you should have a pressure release valve. Just press that. That's going to release all the compression you've built up. Disconnect your coupler. Unscrew your adapter. And if you're not going to change your spark plugs at this time, and even if you are putting new spark plugs, here's the perfect time to check the gap on your spark plugs. And what we're looking at is 0.036. And the thing with almost all newer vehicles is they're going to have the spark plug specification right here. So we're looking at specification is supposed to be 0.035, so we're not too far off there. If you're able to run a little harder spark maybe, but 0.035, 0.036, I'm going to live with it because you could spend a lot more time messing with it than it's worth. So I always put the spark plug back in here. And something I've seen some old timers do is they put some RTV around this to hold it in the spark plug socket. I don't recommend that because the RTV gets on the spark plug, then it gets in the boot of the wire, and you're just asking for trouble of any kind. So, but you also just want to make sure you look at the porcelain real good, make sure it looks like it's in pretty good order. Once you get it firmly started and seated, just put your ratchet on there, give it just a few turns. Don't need to torque these things down, just need to get it in there and get it seated. So there's no He-Man competition going on here. Put your spark plug boot back on, make sure you hear that click, and proceed to your next spark plug. Always make sure you put your old spark plug back in first before you move on to your next spark plug. Otherwise your compression reading will not work out the way that it should. So you just got to make sure that every time you take a spark plug out, test it, make sure you put it back in. So I've had people before they take one spark plug out, they test it, they move on to the next spark plug hole. and they never put the old one back in, your compression reading is going to go down every time you take a spark plug out because the other cylinders aren't going to have anything. So, but that's how to test. Oh yeah, make sure you put your fuel pump relay back in, or you won't be going anywhere when everything's said and done. So, alright guys, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. It's thejeepdoctor@gmail.com. It's thejeepdoctor@gmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter or tweet at me @thejeepdoctor. Or you can give me a call with your questions or comments, 336-355-8001, 336-355-8001. Feel free to leave me a message on there, and hopefully I can get to your questions or comments in another segment of The Jeep Doctor. Thanks guys, and please check out my other videos.